All right, guys, what's going on? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. And I wanted to talk about something truly special when it comes to XDefiant because it just kind of it just came to mind. I'm like, wow, we're in a really unique position with XDefiant. But before we get into that, I want to basically iterate the open beta coming up. That's going to be in less than 24 hours for the people that got access to the closed beta, because I think there's going to be a little bit of confusion in terms of who can play, who can't play, and what the dates are for those people depending on the situation. So let me iterate on that so that way it can clear up some confusion. So the XDefiant open beta will be held from June 21st through the 23rd, basically for everybody, right? For everybody, whether or not you played the closed beta or not. So on the 21st, it'll be open at 10 a.m. Pacific time or 1 p.m. Eastern time. And then the servers will close on June 23rd at 11 p.m., but it'll be early in the 24th at 2 a.m. Eastern time. So again, it'll be closed at June 23rd at 11 p.m. Pacific time, 2 a.m. Eastern time on the 24th. Now, if you had already played the closed beta, the times are the same in terms of when the server's open, except it's going to be 24 hours earlier. So it's going to be 10 a.m. Pacific time or 1 p.m. Eastern time for the 20th. I'm going to be at work, so that's going to suck. It's my long day of work too, go figure. But at the same time, there's still going to be plenty of time to play it. There's still going to be plenty of time to watch other people play it, content creators, streamers, and everybody in between. So it's an exciting time to be had. And for me personally, I've always wanted to feel how this game plays now that the servers have been optimized and their net code and all that kind of stuff, because it was one of those things that I was looking forward to the most. And for me, it's a big deal for a game. How it feels and how it plays is very important, especially when it comes to latency and all that other stuff. But anyway, let's get into the topic of discussion for today. And the stars are literally aligned for this game at this point. And I want to go into specific detail why. XDefiant is actually in a very unique position to do something that actually hasn't been done before. And to a certain degree, this commentary was kind of inspired by the great Excalizors, because when he made one of his From the Desk of Excal episodes around the time when the closed beta was around, I think he made it after it ended or somewhere around the time before it ended, I'm not sure. But anyway, he basically said something very important that's true. It's like he said, what kind of shooter of this kind has been popular or has been able to survive that isn't titled Call of Duty? And it was a good question to ask. And again, he supports XDefiant. He hopes the game succeeds, myself included and the rest of the community included. And there's still a chance that it may. And we all hope that it will. And we all want it to. However, the stars and planets and everything else are aligned because, as you guys know, over the last 5 years or so, the arcade first-person shooter has kind of been absent from the scene, so to speak, right? So, because we were getting Call of Duty, and the thing is, one of the reasons why Call of Duty had so much success the way it did was because a new one was coming out every year, right? Because typically these games take 2 to 3 years to make. So, especially now, they take at least 3 years to make. But back in the day, they used to take 2. As a matter of fact, Modern Warfare 3 actually was made in 9 months, which was pretty damn impressive if you look at the end result. You know, despite the fact that Modern Warfare 3 wasn't a perfect game, you can't really ignore the fact that, you know, what we got in terms of 9 months of development time was really incredible. But anyway, back on topic here. So the arcade shooter genre has kind of been absent except from Call of Duty, but Call of Duty isn't really doing that anymore. They're not an arcade shooter anymore. They're more tactical now. They're more focused on Warzone. A lot of people, when they hear Call of Duty, they automatically assume Battle Royale or Warzone. You know, you guys get the point at this right now. That is where Call of Duty is right now. Even the traditional multiplayer doesn't play arcadey or the same way like it used to, believe it or not. Not at its core, at least. But anyway, so for a while we've been absent, and here comes Ubisoft with their game of XDefiant, which literally nobody saw coming, right? Before its announcement, people were expecting like a new Splinter Cell or something like that within Ubisoft, you know, world and genre and stuff like that. But what we got instead was XDefiant. When people saw it, they were like, oh, it's Call of Duty, it's Call of Duty. And they were pissed off because, you know, fans of Ubisoft and all that kind of stuff, and those devs, you know, they make specific type of games, and people were expecting like a new Splinter Cell or something along those lines. You get the point. But ultimately, though, um, the interesting thing is that um, nobody else is attempting this, so they're alone in that, which is good actually. Call of Duty is not even doing what they used to do, so there's no threat in the genre from Call of Duty at least. And in terms of their timing, their transparency, and everything else, like holy hell, if we get the kind of support from the devs like we think we will, and if we support those devs back, oh man, it may be possible that XDefiant ends up being that game that absolutely positively succeeds in ways that nobody other than Call of Duty did previously, back when they were doing their thing. And that to me is impressive. And they have a high chance to succeed in it because they're the only ones that are doing it. But that's not the only thing. If they succeed in reaching their full potential, and if they make the kind of money and have the kind of player base that they could potentially make from this game, then I'm thinking that they may inspire other developers and other publishers to make the game. Because as you guys know, publishers only understand the language of money. The developers understand gaming language and what it truly takes to make a game, correct or whatever it is, to make the game what it is, right? So the way that these games can get made is to get the attention of the publisher in order to make this game. It happened with Call of Duty. Once Fortnite, in those quarterly earnings, once everybody saw the numbers that Fortnite was generating, it became very apparent that they needed to get their devs, the publishers needed to tell the devs, like, hey, scrap what you're doing, start making this instead, right? Or change this and do this. I mean, if you think about it, look what happened with Titanfall. Titanfall 3 was actually in development for 10 months, and then they started making Apex Legends out of nowhere, just like that. Okay? So now this is very interesting for the arcade shooter genre to become bigger than it's ever been before, because there would be potentially other game studios and devs that would make more different and variety of arcade shooters. Think about that for a second. That's kind of never really been happened before. I'm sure there are some other guys that kind of attempted it here and there, but with Call of Duty coming out every year, and for the brand name to be too familiar, and plus the fact that Call of Duty was as good as it was back in the day, I guess it was too much to handle. It might have been too much back in the day. But putting that aside, think about it. XDefiant is in a unique position to do everything that other developers that might have attempted it couldn't. And who knows, maybe even things that Call of Duty itself couldn't do. Right now, as long as Activision is in charge of Call of Duty, it's not going to go back to where it was. And even if it were to go back and be more arcadey and all that kind of stuff, they still have the patent in there. And it was probably expensive too. So I don't think that they're going to get rid of the patent. And they're not going to get rid of skill-based matchmaking in pubs and all the other stuff that you and I know about that most people probably don't. And I'm talking about most people, not here on YouTube. I'm talking about most people as in the people that are like playing the game casually, that don't know about all this stuff. So with XDefiant making all the right moves so far, at the time that it's making them, when Call of Duty multiplayer is pretty much ignored and not even cared about, to be honest, whichever way you look at it. Yeah. And as you guys know, success is also about timing. So the timing's right. We seem to have the right developers with the transparency that we've been needing as a community and asking for, as well as elements of a game that we've been asking for a while, that is currently being developed. And in less than 24 hours, we are going to have an open beta of it, which is going to play better. Well, 48 hours, less than 48 hours for those people that didn't have access to the closed beta. But for the other guys, we're going to have a whole other day early and everything else that goes with it. And very unique time if you're a content creator as well, because you get a chance to make content on the game before everybody else that gets in on this open beta gets to play it, which is, again, very important. So I'm really, really looking forward to it, and I'm very, very optimistic in terms of the direction that the game is going to go. Because so far, it's looking like it's the right direction, and it needs to stay the course. It absolutely needs to stay the course because it is in a great position to where it can succeed in ways that we didn't think it could. And now it certainly can. And I can't wait to see that happen. I'm optimistic about it, and I can't wait to see that happen. I want that to happen. So, with that being said, though, it's all up to us on whether or not that actually happens. So, what do I mean by that? So, let's say the developers do their thing correctly. Right? Let's say they do what they do correctly and they support the game, they make the game exactly how we wanted it. They're giving us all our wishes coming true the way we wanted them, with every single aspect of the games that we've ever wanted, with the content, game modes, all that other stuff. We're getting everything that we could ever want as a community, right? And let's say their player count is high, the battle pass, a lot of people buy the battle pass, which is again the only language that these guys understand. Well, in terms of the not the developers, the publishers, right? All these other guys, all these other publishers that understand money, once those quarterly earnings come in that they have to expose, guess what? They're going to be like, what caused this to happen? Wham bam, there it is, XDefiant. And then once they catch wind of that, guess what? They're going to start creating their own arcade shooters. And the arcade shooter, and the funny thing is that never really happened with arcade shooters before. It didn't. And now we have a chance for it to happen. And I think that is amazing. And just like we didn't see XDefiant coming, I mean, it's like it could be a possibility that we just don't see this coming either. I'm very optimistic about it. So I'm going to spread the positivity. And if the game is supported like the way I think it's going to be supported over time, guess what? I'm going to do my best to support the game and to spread the word and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I'm also going to be critical. Like if there's things that need to be improved, well, especially knowing that the developers are listening, I will say it. I'm not just going to be positive for the sake of being positive. I'm also going to be positive, but rightfully so. Just like if I ever need to be negative, or if there's any bullshit going on, I need to call that out as well. Because the game needs to remain clean and it needs to remain as pure as possible. Now, I know in this day and age, in 2023, and with everything that's going on with gaming and all that other shit, I know that that's a lot to ask for. However, we can't say that it's impossible, right? Especially if we work together as a community to support the devs in their vision, as long as they keep doing their job the way they continue to do it in terms of doing it right, in terms of actually listening to the community and communicating with them. At the end of the day, that's all we wanted, right? I mean, imagine going to your, a restaurant that you're interested in eating at, right? And they don't listen to your feedback, right? I mean, but now if you do go to a restaurant and they do listen to your feedback and then all that other stuff, well, then that's when you have a winning formula. That's ultimately how you become better, is by listening to what your consumers are telling you and giving them what they ask, as opposed to just, making those decisions for them instead of just asking them, what do you like, right? So it's going to be a very interesting time, man. I'm really excited. So again, the open beta is coming up really soon. I hope you guys have fun enjoying it. Unfortunately, I'm very sorry for last gen consoles. You guys don't get a chance to play it, which sucks. But a month or two after launch, you guys will get a chance to play the game in its entirety and enjoy all the bells and whistles that come with it. Obviously, you can't go beyond 1080p and you can't go beyond 60 frames per second, but that's okay because, quite frankly, actually, you know what? If you're on PS4, you can probably go up to 1440, maybe. And if you're on Xbox, what is it? The Xbox X, Xbox One X, not the Series X, but the Xbox One X, I think you can go up to 4K or maybe 1440. But in terms of frames, 60 is your limit, and for the most part, 1080 is probably going to be your limit too in terms of frame rate, in terms of graphics. But it's still solid. That's what Call of Duty's been all these years. And at the same time, if the game operates properly and plays properly and is given the love by the devs like it's supposed to, then I think we'll be fine. So anyway, with that being said, thank you all very much for listening and or taking time to listen. Let me know what you guys think of the of XDefiant. Let me know of what you guys think of everything that's coming up. And do you guys think that this game will have that level of impact to where it actually inspires other people to make first-person shooters? Let me know down below. I know it's still kind of a long shot, but do you guys think it's possible? Let me know. And thank you all very much for taking the time to watch and or listen. I'll catch you guys on the next one.